Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Elitist Geek for another Gaming Friday.
Gaming Friday, people.
Gaming Friday, indeed. October 28th, 2016, on this Friday of gaming. Let's jump right into VR, guys. A little bit of preamble. I've had a few people wonder about the PlayStation recording. I've linked it, but I've had another few people ask, so I thought I would just show it. So essentially what I use for PlayStation VR is this little device here. This is the AverMedia Game Capture HD2. So it basically does 1080p at 60 frames per second. Has everything you'd expect. So you've got your AC adapter, Ethernet ports, 2 HDMI, 1 in and out, and component if for some reason you need it, like if you're doing stuff off the Wii, for example, or hell, even a PlayStation 3 with component. What I really like about this unit is the SATA port in there, because laptop drives, 2.5-inch, perfect for SSD drives. In fact, an SSD drive inside of this just turns it into a whole new piece of kit. Your standard mechanical drives, definitely fast enough for this, but once you've tried an SSD drive in this, it just makes them a joy to use. It's super fast to transfer stuff off and on. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Island 359. They've had what they call their Second Blood update. Island 359 is the one where you get dropped on the Jurassic Park style island, and it's part stealth, in early access, hunting dinosaurs. It was a game I featured in a quick look series. What I liked about it was, the presentation, the graphics, the gameplay, 4 short bursts. Like, what was there was fun. There just wasn't a lot there. Apparently, they add quite a bit more in this update. It's still in early access, probably a few more updates coming. This one adds, among a lot of things, additional weapons. One of those is a bow, and apparently the haptic feedback on that bow is pretty damn cool, as well as a Triceratops roaming around. Apparently looks amazing, the model, and pretty damn terrifying. Haven't checked that out, but like I said, it's been in early access for 2 months now. Honestly, I haven't even tried it since then, so probably something I'll go back and visit over the next few weeks. The game Tethered for the PlayStation VR, it's a game I've contemplated buying. My concern with it was how that would do in VR. Just, the type of third person look as opposed to first person. It did work for Lucky's Tale. I didn't think that was bad at all. So yeah, it's one I might try, but I'll probably get it when it's on some kind of a sale. Either way, the reviews were fairly positive in general. So among the positives that they listed were the graphics, the game world, and meaty gameplay. They said there's essentially 7 to 10 hours of gameplay there. So if you're sick of the 5 to 30 minute VR experiences, here you go. Here's something that's 7 to 10 hours. Among the negatives, lack of free camera movement was mentioned a few times, too much micromanagement, and a couple of reviews that I read both stated that the head track controls lacked finesse. So take that as you will. And yeah, you can grab that. I believe it's 25 Canadian. So the price isn't too bad. But yeah, considering the game type, that is Tethered. So again, 7 to 10 hours. Next game, this one is for the HTC Vive. It's called Ice Lakes. And what they say here is that it's not the VR fishing game of your dreams. And personally, although I have gone fishing in real life, yeah, I don't know. VR fishing, probably not my bag. But hey, anybody who's into fishing and likes it that much, give it a shot. VR. So this is ice fishing. You're literally sitting over one of those ice holes, and apparently it's pretty good at that, at what it does. So the band Disturbed has released a 360-degree version of their platinum single, which is the cover of Simon and Garfunkel's "The Sound of Silence." which I think went, multi-platinum for them. So you can experience that in 360 if that is your bag. And let's jump into the news. So HTC, if there was any doubt at all that these guys are seriously intent on conquering China with the HTC Vive, there can be no doubt now. So their latest is a partnership with UK-based InterContinental Hotels, the Chinese arm of that, to put HTC Vives in the hotel rooms of their chain hotels in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and other cities in the region. So very cool. HTC has definitely done quite a bit. Between that, the VR arcades, and their virtual reality plans for China in general, some pretty impressive moves. And think about that. What would that be like, an HTC Vive? I mean, personally, would you want to use it? Would it get cleaned properly? I know I keep bringing up the hygiene aspect, but you guys honestly haven't seen the HMD after I've used it. It ain't pretty. I'm just thinking, some poor schmuck in the hotel after me, they better clean it. So there you are, HTC with InterContinental Hotels to bring Vive to hotel rooms. Next news piece. UploadVR staff have a live stream up, which is actually running right now. I think it started about 25 minutes ago. There's probably going to be a recorded version of it up on YouTube at some point, of the staff for UploadVR playing Blue Effect VR from DIVR Labs. That's the development company. And this isn't a bad looking game, but of course it is wave-based by the looks of it. Again, I don't know too much about this game, but apparently like a wave-based horror style game. Next news piece. 5 things that UploadVR learned about HTC's plans for VR. So UploadVR had an interview with HTC's VP of VR content, Joel Breton. I've talked about Joel quite a few times in different news stories. And they discovered the following about HTC's plans for VR. Now, some of this, admittedly, we've known, or it's been talked about in some form. First one being that HTC is big on adapting pre-existing apps to VR. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is Fallout 4, which I personally can't wait for. My only hope with Fallout 4 is that it is mod-friendly. Whatever they end up doing, I hope is mod-friendly. And I hope it's not crippled to the point where not only does it lose some of the charm of its gameplay, it becomes a game that isn't mod-capable. And now, for me personally, and I think the same for Exidy here, part of the charm with Bethesda's games is modding them. It's what, right? It's what you do after that makes Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind just such amazing games with such long life to them. All right, the next thing, they are talking to the game industry's biggest publishers, and we know that. Take-Two, Bethesda, just having mentioned them, Sega. Now, the other one they mention here, take this one with a grain of salt, because I'm none too happy with Konami lately, but they list Konami as well. Personally, I don't think you can pull them away from their pachinko world dominance plans long enough to get them to do any VR, but hey, who knows? They may come back and do some, real gaming some point in the future again. I just wouldn't count on it. Vive is also serving as a reference platform across VR development. And whether that's encouraging devs to go multi-platform, offering assistance with the tool sets, they've done a lot to insert themselves as a one-stop for virtual reality devs. And that's one of the things that a lot of devs in interviews have mentioned is the support from HTC Vive, and of course the support from Oculus has been good too, but we're speaking specifically about HTC Vive right now, that it's been very, very strong. We could have used that on the customer service side of things back in the beginning, mind you. And finally, that there are still, as of yet, unannounced 50-person VR teams. Now, hopefully that's not a little bit of baiting going on there by Joel. You know, he is a marketing guy after all, but if we take him at his word, he indicated that yes, definitely there are 50-man VR teams with pending projects in the wings. If there are, it starts looking good for my prediction, and that's just my personal one, which, you know, you may not share with me, but I am still convinced that for the holiday season, we are going to get some game surprises, and that's going to be across the board, not just Sony PlayStation VR, Rift, but HTC Vive as well. Because I know there were some comments yesterday, you know, in the comment section on yesterday's video, that there hasn't been a lot for the HTC Vive, that it's been basically gathering dust on you. And I get that. There hasn't been a lot to be thrilled about, but I do think we are close to seeing some of that new stuff launch. All right. Next news item, using virtual humans with personality for medical training. This is actually a really good podcast. I listened to this on the way from work today, on the way to pick up Exidy actually. And it's an interview that Kent Bai did with Dr. Locke. And it had to do with using virtual reality to train medical students. And the patients were the VR portion of the medical training. And what they've tried to do is infuse those patients with human traits. And one of the things that I love about what Dr. Locke says, and it's so true, and you got to think how many doctors have to wade through this, especially with Google nowadays. Everybody goes into a doctor's office being a quote-unquote expert, right? With a list of all the symptoms and what they think is happening to them. So convinced, you kind of wonder why they go to see the doctor in the first place. Not to say that they're infallible. Obviously, they are not, and can make those types of mistakes themselves, right? But the whole point is infusing VR patients with human traits like that, right? The fact that humans can babble and not get right to the point, kind of like I'm doing right now, that a human patient isn't going to be able to come up with the trigger words that the doctor, or in this case the med student, is going to be able to hone in on. So I like that aspect of it. I still don't think we're at the point where we can make that realistic enough with the patients, but that's no doubt coming down the pipe, absolutely. Next and last news piece, Alcatel's new idle smartphone apparently comes with Windows 10 VR. So this is that update that is going to be coming in the spring, apparently available on this phone. Now, this is just speculation at this point. I haven't seen the ad. The author, UploadVR, has not seen it. But apparently, after the conference, Quartz reporter Dave Gershgorn uncovered a now removed T-Mobile listing for a new variation of Alcatel's Idle 4S smartphone. The original runs on Android. This one apparently had been advertised with Windows 10 VR bundled. So what that means, we don't know. Some of the other leaked documents include 2.15 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. We are familiar with that. We know that that can power mobile VR, absolutely. 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, and a 5.5-inch AMOLED display running at 1080p. So again, purely speculation at this point. If that becomes substantiated, I will definitely mention it here. It is Friday, guys, and I am absolutely going to make a point about playing some games today. I say that every time, and I have been. The last few Fridays have been awesome. Hope you guys are as well.
A little better, bro.
Yeah, a little better, exactly. A lot better, man. But no, the editing has been streamlined. Cheers, guys, as always, and definitely catch you in the VR flip side.